All right, I'm excited for this episode. I got a former teammate of mine and current defensive coordinator at the University of Delaware, Manny Rojas. I'll give you a little background on Manny, and we'll bring him in here. So Manny was an absolute stud coming out of the worst side of the state of Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. Played in the Big 33 All-Star game. Was a middle linebacker with me at Liberty University, and then after his time there was a GA coach, transitioned to full-time associate coach at Richmond, then defense coordinator at Lafayette, and also then over to Delaware. So, Manny, man, appreciate you taking a few minutes. Got football season right around the corner here. How you feeling?
Yeah, Ryan, thanks. Appreciate it. I feel pretty good. Had some nice downtime this summer and had an opportunity to just relax a little bit. Still got a few days off here before we report for camp. Actually, July 29th, 30th, because our first game is Thursday night, August 31st against Stony Brook.
Yeah, so, I can't believe football season is here already.
I was talking
to my wife and my kids, like, we're looking at the rest of the, today it's July 19th, we're recording this, and I was looking at the rest of the calendar. I'm like summer's over. Like, NFL rookies just reported. Vets are reporting not too long from now. Summer camp's getting kicked off, at the college level, and we're playing ball, man. We're back in the swing of things.
Real question is, Manny, how many plays you think you still got in you at the college level?
I got a quarter.
You got one quarter in you? That's more than I got.
You could strap it up, throw on that butterfly collar you used to wear, protect that neck, just fly around a little bit.
Listen, it's not the in the moment issue. It's the after the game, feeling that you have to worry about the most at this age. I mean, in the moment, the adrenaline is going to take over. After the game, forget about it, dude. Need at least a 6-pack and probably 3 IVs. And some sort of painkiller, I'm sure.
That kind of sounds like the old bus rides home from Liberty.
Exactly what we used to do on the bus ride home.
Oh man, well, it's a real pleasure, man, to stay connected with you over the years and to have you here. I remember you were 2 years older than me and showing up to camp at Liberty as a freshman. I'm like, who's this guy barking and yelling at everybody, screaming, getting people moving? And I'm like, God, this is a lunatic from Pittsburgh. It's got to be. Well,
yeah, I mean, it's the better side of the state, so it's just the way it works. But like, you remember those days, and to sit here and say we're 2 years apart is kind of hard to believe, because I remember how much we did do at Liberty and some of the things that we did do on and off the field. But you know what it was like down there. Somebody had to take charge in some of those good old days, and there wasn't a whole bunch of leadership running around on some of those parts.
Yeah, I mean, we were awful my freshman year.
We went
1-10.
Heard the stories.
Terrible.
Brutal.
Brian, though, for real though, on that 1-10 season though, you do have to remember we were like 10 points away from being like
500.
500, 8-3.
No, you're right. It's like I tried to block out that freshman season. It was a rough go for me, but we were right there with Coastal, who was really good.
Triple overtime. We missed 3 field goals.
Yeah.
I mean, it was meant to be, and for reasons. It was a tough year, though, man. I'll tell you what, I've never went 1-10 before.
Never.
Ever.
Never.
Yeah, so it was tough. I remember the summer before that was the summer Bill Gillespie ran our asses off. We ran like track stars, and at the end of that season, I was like 189 pounds.
Oh, it was insane, man. Well, even the very first thing we did at camp, it was a surprise conditioning test. You remember that?
300s.
Yeah, 300 surprise conditioning test, and I'm there. I'm excited to go. I'm in shape. We go to the cafeteria for breakfast, and on our schedule, I'm like, all right, we got meetings, film, walkthroughs, install. I'm like, I'm good till lunch. I had 3 waffles, sausage, I was stuffed. And you're at college, you eat at home, you can get some stuff here or there, but you're not have free for all, whatever you want. I was wolfing it down.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a buffet.
No, wolfing it down. We walk down, getting our stuff for a walkthrough. All right, boys, line it up. I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm gonna and I did. I puked everywhere probably for like a half hour, I was in shape, but I failed the conditioning test, puked everywhere, Wynton Jackson puking, not finishing, Manny barking at everybody. Oh, it was brutal.
It was tough. And the thing though, Ryan, that nobody knows, like we did 300s. You did a 300, you had 5 minutes, then you did a 300.
Yep.
And it was 25 and back 6 times, something like that?
25 back 6? Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the distance, like your legs are burning, stopping, starting, accelerating, trying to get under your time. That was the worst conditioning test, man. You talk about this. I ran a marathon, not as hard as 300 conditioning test. Nope.
Well, yeah, the worst part about the 300s was like, it was always like, here's the last one if everyone touches the line every time. And there's always some bullshit. The strength coach is like, this guy missed the line. And you know for a fact, like no one missed the line. He's just totally like making it up to just like screw everyone over. And then, the guys that are captains are like, you motherfucker. They're just getting on them, and you end up doing 5 more just because the strength coach is like, let's get on these guys again. But those are the best memories because you just laugh the whole time knowing you're like, we're just getting totally screwed right now.
Oh, yeah. Not only that, you remember like that sucked.
Yeah.
All compared to today's society and world, that was tough.
Oh, and it was like, no water. You get it when you finish.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, I'm cramping. I'm dying over here.
Don't worry about that.
It was amazing times, man. But we go through that 1-10 season, absolutely brutal, awful, like triple overtime losses, field goal kicks for a win, dinking off everything, and it was just brutal. But then Coach Rocco comes through right after my freshman year. That was been your junior year,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, 05 was my junior year.
Yeah. And just completely change the culture, completely, turn things around.
Yeah, it was fun. I think, prior to Coach Rocco, and the two staffs were different. Coach Rocco came in to coach football. Mm-hmm. Ken Karcher is a great man from what I know and of him and being around him. I don't know if he was the best choice as far as a football coach at that given point in time. I know since then he has gone on and done some really good things in the coaching world. I do know he just retired this past winter from, I think it's East Mississippi Community College maybe. But he was there for a long time. But anyway, Coach Rocco came in and was strictly football and, just like you said, changed the culture and the believing that we could win. And I remember, just him being like, I don't give a shit. This is what we're going to do. And we did it. I think the greatest thing there, Ron, was we all bought into his belief in the culture that he wanted quickly. And we just did it because they said to do it.
Yeah. Because it couldn't have got any worse.
No,
the way things were going was like, hey, you know what? This guy came from Virginia. He's been in the NFL, top Power 5 programs. Like, let's go. And we had a lot of talent on that team. Obviously, we went on to be a top 25, top 10 at one point team in the country. There's a ton of talent, but we weren't playing football with that previous staff.
Dude, there were 5 or 6 guys when we came back in January from our Christmas break. We came back in January. There were 6 new guys in that team meeting. You don't remember probably, but Coach Rocco talked to us before we left for Christmas break. Then the Sunday night we came back from Christmas break, Stevie Ray Lloyd was in there. Rashad Jennings was in there.
From Tech, from Pitt.
I know. So, we had 4 other guys that were in there from, around the area that transferred in the mid-year, and I didn't know about it. And not that I needed to know about it, but just show up, and there's new guys. And then you remember before the season starts, Eddie Pennegas came in at shit, Ryan, we were 3 days into camp.
Yeah.
Eddie shows up out of nowhere. Big lurch looking dude.
Just monsters.
Right. Vince Red. I mean,
yep.
We had some dudes that transferred in to help us out, and it was all because Coach Rocco came.
Yeah. Yeah. And those are obviously formidable years and just amazing, amazing times. But, I'm curious from your perspective as you go through being a player from being on a terrible team, a really good team, and then ultimately becoming a GA. Did you know that you wanted to go down that coaching route
So
while we were at Liberty, or
no? When I got done playing, I went home to Pittsburgh for like 6 months. And to be honest with you, I got a job and I was working, and it was a half-assed job. I really wasn't working very hard, but like I wanted to do something. I said to myself, I want to coach. And at the time, I had no idea what that even meant. Like, I became good friends with Chad Wild. I don't know if you remember Chad.
Oh yeah.
But he's
DC out at Indiana now, right?
Yeah. At the time, he was our special teams coordinator, and I got close with him, during my senior year, and then obviously after. So I went down. Me and him went to the beach. We partied for a week, and I was like, I want to coach football. This could be fun. And I moved in with Chad 3 weeks later and get ready for camp. And I had no idea. Like there was no break. There was no downtime. There was no nap time. As the players nap, the coaches still go and grind. And, Coach Rocco, at that time, our schedule was grinding. We were there at 7 a.m. and we were there till 10, 11 o'clock at night. And as a player, you don't know that. Like when players leave the building at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, they go home to their dorm. Coaches stay and do work and get ready for the next day or the next week. And I had no idea. Working for nothing. I came down. I had no job. I wasn't getting paid by Coach Rocco or Liberty. Chad was basically let me live with him for free. So it was a different mindset and a different world I knew nothing about. The single greatest thing, though, Ryan, that helped me was Chad. Chad gave me two thoughts: figure it out and find a way to get it done. And from that, I've learned at that time, and I take it with me today, and I tell our GAs that we hire, our QCs that we hire, whoever it is, that these are the two things you have to do. And just by Chad doing that helped me in the profession at that time and still today. So, but I had no friggin' idea what I was doing.
Yeah. And now when you say you made no money, legitimately were not paid.
I was not paid. It was a volunteer spot.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I was going to bring up is I think a lot of people, they look at the glorification of football coaching, or, they probably see, I'm sure your buddies, they catch up with you now and they're probably like, oh my gosh, dude, that's awesome. You're the DC now of a big time Division I school. But they have no idea that those first 2-3 years of being a GA, you are it's not just being a basic analyst at a corporate job where you're still making decent money and you don't really have to do anything. You are working your ass off 12 hours a day minimum for absolutely nothing, and everyone is just mad at you all day for no fault of your own.
Right. We talk about it now in our staff. So our staff is pretty young. Most of us are under 40. We have two guys on staff that are 45, 46, something like that. And, one G8 at Florida, one G8 at Monmouth. And they talk about those days and some of the things that they had to do: cut grass, pick up kids, shit like that. And thankfully I never had to do any of that stuff. But you talk about and then Coach Cardi and myself, we both started at the same time. And I was making nothing volunteering. I think he went to New Hampshire was making pennies, 3-4 grand, something like that. And we sit there and we laugh at these guys now who are making our lowest paid guy. I don't know what he's making, 20 grand maybe, because that's what our university sets at. I'll be honest, I have no idea what it is, but they're making way more than we did at this point in time. And
more than nothing.
No question. So, and then after that, I got hired on with Bill Gillespie in the weight room as a strength coach, and I was making 18 grand. I thought I hit the fucking lotto.
18 grand. Now, in Lynchburg, 18 grand is really maybe 30 in the real world, but not much more.
Back then, it was a lot of money. I was like, hell yeah.
I can go get some nicer beer at Neighbors.
That's it, man. I could drink Miller Lite instead of Busch Light.
There you go. So obviously, you're not doing it for the money, right?
No.
When you're getting started, you love football. You obviously Wilt put you under his wing and kind of gave you a light of fire in you a bit. But what kept you going down the route? Because I know some guys we played with, they get that taste. They don't really know what they're getting into. They're making no money. They're getting chewed out all the time. They're like, the hell with this. Like, I'm going to go do something else. So why keep going versus check out?
Yeah, so for me, it's always been like, when I look back on it, it's like the love of the game, to be honest with you. Like, for me, football is easy. It is the one thing for me that, like, it's simple. Like, being at home with 4 kids, that's hell. I mean, she is a rock star, and she's home with kids all day, every day, in season, out of season, and I'm home during the summertime. It's cool. It's great. But I would never want to be a stay-at-home dad. She is so much better than I am. But it's the love of the game for me. Like, football comes easy. It comes natural. And I think, Ron, honestly, after Coach left Liberty to go to Richmond and took me with him, I had a real, like, come to Jesus moment with Blaine McCorkle, who kind of sat me down and was like, hey, look, man, you're here. You're taking a step up. You're making some more money. You got more responsibility. You need to start acting this way. And I was like, okay, so there's more to this than just football. And then I started to learn a little bit more, but at the end of the day, it always comes back to football. The moment, the adrenaline in the game, the opportunities to win, it's like crack. I don't know what crack is. I don't know what crack feels like, but it's just that. I mean, it is the excitement of it.
Yeah, especially because like, you're the epitome of like a football guy. You can hear it in your voice, in your like emphasis. Like, even as like a player, you always knew like which coaches really loved football. Like I remember even just like at Nova, like there was a few coaches that you were like, okay, this is a football guy you could see, and then there were some other guys that you're like, all right, this guy's like a Villanova guy. He's a little soft.
Yeah.
He doesn't love football. He's just but it is a love of the game.
Well, dude, Wilt's that guy. Like, I just have this vivid image of him sprinting down the sidelines on special teams. Right, like I returned some kick or something, and like he's the first one. He's also like sprinting on the field, jumping up, like it is aggressive. It's fun. It's adrenaline. And you like, I miss that part. Right, you try to replace it afterwards in some way, shape, or form, but there's nothing that pure. That you get from doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it's and I'll be honest with you, it's so like. Obviously, the job is gratifying at times. Like when you see a player doing the thing that you've been coaching him to do, it's not like, I'm sure there are coaches out there like you win a big game and whatever the situation is, oh, great, thanks to me because we held down points, or thanks to me because we scored more points. No, I don't give a shit about any of that. Like, I really, like, if we win, great, the kids played their asses off. If we lose, I didn't make the right calls. Like, that's part of my job description. But like what's gratifying, I think, is teaching and coaching a specific technique or a way to take on a block or how to make a tackle or read this key and go to that hole and hit this alley. Like, watching the kids on film do it right and be successful at it is friggin' awesome. And I remember there's times when I watch film at night and my kids are with me and I start laughing and I get pumped up and they come over, what, Daddy, what? And I show it to them. And they like want to learn it and understand it, which is cool. But like, it's fun to have those teaching moments for me to teach my children what I'm looking at and why I'm looking at it. And then to go into the next day and be like, look, Jagoff, look at what you did right here. Do it all the time.
I'm surprised it took that long for us to get a jack off out of you. Yeah. Right.
Jack off. It's Jagoff. It's right there. Don't be a Jagoff.
Look at that. Oh, love it.
So, Manny, when you were coming up, in that coaching world, what was the most stressful part of, in those early days where you're trying to make it as a coach? Was it, just trying to get by and not piss off the people that you're hoping would help you get a job somewhere? Was it the financial aspect? Was it all the above? Like, what was the hardest part of that upcoming journey?
I think it's part of all of the above, to be honest with you. But like, you do, like when we went to Richmond, I was working with Bob Trott, and Bob Trott is a great human being. He's a great football coach, but like you get put into these situations, you get put into these rooms with new guys that you really don't know. And you really got to tread water lightly for a while and really try to feel them out and understand it. So it's part of learning, understanding from them and not pissing them off because, like you said, you don't know. They may leave in 2 years and want to take you with them, or they may say, no, you don't qualify for a guy that I would ever hire. So it's part of that. And then I think financially, obviously you take a new job, you're hoping you're going to get more money. But like when we left Liberty to go to Richmond, I went from making 18 grand to making 27 maybe. So 28 might have been 10 grand more. Shit, cost of living in Richmond is a lot more than living in Lynchburg. So it like balances itself out. It equals itself out. And all of a sudden, like, okay, I really can't afford to do this and this. I still got to kind of do what I need to do. But at the same time, I got a new job. I got a pay raise. So it's a little bit of both. I think to answer your question, I hope that makes sense. It works both ways, I think.
And all along those lines, have you had like moments where you're like, shit, am I ever gonna make like 40 grand, 50 grand? So, like, am I gonna attach myself to the right staff, or is the staff going in the right position? Because that's the other thing is, in most everyday jobs and careers, yeah, the company you work for is important, but if you do your job really well, you're gonna make more money. You could be the best linebackers coach in the country, but if your team is 2-10, you don't have the right D coordinator or the head coach, you're probably getting fired and you're out of a job. Right? And no one's going to look for that linebackers coach on a 2-10 team, even if you know exactly what you're doing and you're really good at your job. So how do you balance, or how have you balanced that, making sure you're in a winning staff, you're pursuing that, but you're networking outside of that for right opportunities and making more money along the way, and not just slowly moving down the ranks and out of a job?
So as far as the networking thing for us in this profession, it's the convention every year. And for me, as a young coach going out there, I knew nobody other than the guys on my staff that I worked with. Obviously, one of my best friends is the coordinator out of Duquesne University in Pittsburgh. So I knew him and a couple others. But getting to go to those conventions and meet guys and network and just try to figure out who's who. And at the end of the day, like you said, if there's no substance to you, if there's no substance to what you're doing, like if you're on a 2-10 team, you can know as many people as you want out there. If you're not a good coach, they're going to know it. Or if you're not on a good team, they're going to know it. So I think getting around the right people and having the right people on staff to help, win, and making sure that you find the right recruits, obviously. But to answer your question about like, shit, am I ever going to make any money doing this? It was 2013, maybe 14. It was after our 2013 season. I was sitting there. I was dating my wife.
This is like 5 years in now at this point, about, right?
5,
6 years?
6 years. Yeah, somewhere in there. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, am I ever going to make any money? The linebacker, I was a restricted earnings guy. I was making chump change, and the linebacker coach was making more, and the DC was obviously making more. So everybody's making all this money. And I'm like, okay, my girlfriend wants to get married. She's on my ass about this. When's that going to happen? I'm not making any money. Either something needs to happen this offseason, or I got to, go find another. Because I knew this. I wanted to be with my wife. I knew that for sure. I loved football, but at the same time, I think at that crossroad in my life, I felt money was more important than a job to be able to take care of and move forward in life. And it just so happened that offseason, our linebacker coach left, and Coach Rocco promoted me to the linebacker coach. And I went from making 28 to 45. And even then, it was 45. 45 was so much more than I ever thought I would be making at that point in time. 7 years out, I was 30 years old, 31. So I was like, hell yeah, this is awesome. So I stuck it out there, and just at that time, it was a great learning opportunity for me too. When the linebacker coach left, Byron Thweet left, and I got to be Bobby Trott's right-hand man kind of. And I learned so much from Coach Trott, and it helped me in the profession as far as what I knew. Because 2 years later, I had to teach our defense to our new DC that we hired, Chris Kosh, and being with Bob Trott and spending that time with Bob Trott had helped me. So the financial burden was hey, this is about time I start making some money. If not, I got to get the hell out of here. And I so happened I did. And I stuck close to Bob Trott, and he helped me in certain ways I never thought that it would matter in the way I learned it. And then it helped me with Chris Kosh moving forward down the line.
Love it. Love it, man. It's just so interesting how those pivotal moments tend to work out. It's like another year, if I'm hearing right, you would have been out of football.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It was a hard thought. Like, obviously my father was like, what are you talking about? You can't do that. You don't do that. You don't that. And I'm like, I get it. But like at the same time, like I knew my wife was the person I was supposed to be with. And it was a decision I was contemplating making. I'm glad I didn't. But I'm so much happier now where I am at now than where I think I would have been running a fucking Dunkin' Donuts.
But it is a real like concern. Like, you know, like there's probably tons of guys that have been out there like in that similar position where it's like, hey, it's time to start potentially getting married and having a family. And it's like, hey, am I going to keep doing this thing? Like, who knows? Like, there's no guarantees. Like, you know, like what if you get a job and, you know, the staff gets fired 3 months in, all of a sudden you're out of a job again. You know what I mean? Like it is a real tough road to go down. And it's a tough decision that you and many other coaches have to make. So that's a crossing point that I'm sure a lot of guys actually experience.
Yeah, I'm sure it is too. And like you said, it is tough. Like the profession is hard. And like when things went down and Coach Rocco got let go at Delaware, some guys were questioning like, oh my God, I can't believe I do this. I'm putting my family through this. Why would I do this to my family type of thing? And I'm like, dude, you chose the profession. Like, you know, like I'm fully aware of what this profession is and the pressure and the expectations that are put on us as coaches. And if you don't hold up to it, you're not going to have a job. And my wife knows that, and we're very open about it. And I think that helps us because at the end of the day, like, I know what may happen in the future. And it's hard, and I'm sure it's going to be even harder one day if I'm ever let go and I don't get another job off of it. But I'm fully aware of what I'm getting myself into when I jumped into the profession.
Yeah, it's a tough nature of the beast because I'm sure, you know, there's a lot of coaches that, you know, like you mentioned, the staffs get let go and no one knows that that's probably could be their last gig. You know, guys that are especially in their, you know, 50s, 60s, you know, when there's all these young studs that are up and coming, you know, coordinators like yourself that are in their mid 30s, you know, it's like, okay, well, you know, there's no guarantees for those older guys anymore.
Correct. And I think, like you said, like I think as football evolves, as the world evolves and everything evolves, technology evolves. As a football coach, you have to be able to evolve with technology and the social media world and aspects and all that bullshit too. But at the same time, you have to be able to still evolve to be able to relate to the player. We're getting older. The players are still going to be 18 to 22 any way you slice it. And if you can't relate to that, then your players are going to do what you ask them to do, but they're really not going to like, oh, I love that dude. I'll play my ass off for that guy. If you can't get that from your players, then it's going to be very hard to be retained by a staff or be taken with the staff or be hired by a younger coach the older you get. Because I think it's only a matter of time before the younger generation does start to replace a lot of these older coaches. Nick Saban's going to coach till he dies. We all know that. So nobody's replacing Nick. But if you can't relate to the player, then players aren't going to play for you. And when that happens, your time's up.
Yeah. So talk about that, right? Because you've had success of moving up in Division I programs from Richmond, and then now you decided Delaware stop, Lafayette back to Delaware?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So kind of talk through that of going from assistant at UD to defense coordinator at Lafayette, then over to defense coordinator at Delaware, you know, where you're at now.
Yeah. So we got to Delaware in 2017. I was here for 2 years. I was a linebacker coach. I really started making some good money when we came to Delaware, when Coach Rocco first brought me up here. And then my second year here, our special teams coordinator left, and Clint Sintham and we took over special teams duties as co-coordinators. And then, once again, career path choices, decisions. We ended the 2018 season. We just made it to the playoffs. nothing was changing on our staff. There was no turnover. I had been called about a job for a potential DC job. That fell through. So there I am in my feelings again with my wife. Like, I'm never going to be a coordinator. Our DC's not leaving. I don't know if Danny would promote me even if he did, blah, blah, blah. And no shit, a week later, I get a phone call from John Garrett at Lafayette. I worked with John at Richmond. John had an opening on his defense for a DC. He knew what defense I ran, the 3-4 system. I went up there, interviewed. It was significantly more money than I was making. It was the right opportunity for me in my career, not because it was more money, because I was ready for that next step. And I think having the opportunity to start my coordinating career at Lafayette was really good. It was fun, for damn sure. It was wild. We went 5-6 that year, I think. Another year around, we started off like 0-4. And it was like,
here we go again.
It was 2005 popped back into my head. I said, oh, shit. But I think I learned a lot from that year being with John and being at Lafayette and some of the struggles athletically. Financially, I was fine. My wife and I were fine. We had one baby. We had one more on the way. So we were doing okay from that standpoint. I think just from a career path and being in that seat of being a coordinator and not having all the answers and not being able to hold everybody to 10 points, it's not as easy as everybody thinks it is. But that was a lot of fun for me. And I think that's really, guys, where I really started to like, hey, this coordinating thing is fun. I enjoy it. My players, I think most of them to a T would say they love to play for me, because I think once you convey to the player that, look, what do we have to do to help you play better? And I tell our kids this every year. We report to camp in 2 weeks, and I'll tell them the first day we report, if there's something that needs to be said or I need to phrase something a specific way for you guys to understand it better, for you guys to play faster, then you need to tell me. I'll change my vocabulary. I don't care. I'm not playing. For me, X's and O's and all this shit we put on the board is easy. But for you, the player, you need to tell me what's easier for you to learn and play fast. And I think once you can open their eyes to that you're willing to do this for them and be there for them, I think they'll do anything for you. Yeah. So that was a great opportunity for me at Lafayette to learn that, know that, and understand that. And then when I came back to Delaware, I recruited 3/4 of the guys that were on this team. So the transition back wasn't hard, as like from a getting to know the players standpoint. I knew the players, I knew the staff. It was simple. Now it was just, calling it and running it. And you want to talk about a high, that's fun. And I can't explain it any other way, but you know that the players know it, and it's a lot of fun.
And making that transition, I would think from a career standpoint, is really critical. Obviously, Delaware is a better football program than Lafayette is historically, right?
Yes.
My assumption is, because of that, then the money's better out of DC there. But did you have any hesitation of like, man, I just got to Lafayette, you're probably just getting the groove of thing with the staff, versus making that transition back to Delaware? And then, too, you got to think about where the programs are at, where they're headed, opportunities for you. It's more than just, it's a good job and it's good money.
No, there wasn't much hesitation. If I can be quite honest, I hope Coach Rocco doesn't hear this, but
he will.
Will he?
I don't know. Maybe.
Is he a subscriber?
We can't see, but I don't know if we have. I don't know if there's many old guys listening to the podcast.
Yeah, I hear you. Guys, I was with Danny for a long time, and I've seen him go through coordinators and just like nightmares. Like, we'd be in a staff meeting till 10 or 11 o'clock at night. We'd come in the next morning and we'd watch the same film we watched the night before, and it was just like mind-numbing. And when we left Delaware to go to Lafayette, I told my wife, I said, just make sure that if Danny ever calls me, to remind me what it was like. And sure as shit, Danny called, and I called D, and the first thing she said to me was like, do you remember what it was like? And I was like, yeah, that's okay. I'm still taking the job. and honestly, it wasn't because of the financial plus side. Like obviously was more money, but it was the opportunity to win a national championship. And at Lafayette, you might be able to win one there again. Like, it's going to be very, very difficult. But here, we have resources. We have the team. We have the talent. We have all the things that we need can be in play for that. So really the decision to come back was easy. It was just, what is my relationship going to be like with the head guy going forward? And honestly, for me, it worked out that Danny didn't tell me what to call. He didn't sit in our meetings. He didn't second guess my play calling. He really was a completely different head coach for me as a coordinator than he was with anybody else. And I think there was obviously some sense of security and some sense of, hey, man, he knows what I want and he'll handle it how he needs to. It was totally eye-opening to me. I remember after the first, year I came home, I'm like, D, he doesn't bother me. She's like, great. Don't let it get back to him bothering you again. I said, okay. So it was truly different, but it was a no-brainer decision to come back here. We love it here. It's a lot of fun. I will say this though, it was pretty cool playing in the Lafayette Lehigh rivalry game.
Yeah,
that was a cool game. Now we won it too the year I was there. It was pretty sweet. It's different.
Because they've been playing for 120 years or something absurd.
I think it's almost 160.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so it was cool. We played at Lehigh. The place was packed.
Yeah, Lehigh has a cool stadium too.
Yeah, it was a neat experience. But once again, we love it here. It's a great opportunity.
Was it strange at all coming back to Delaware, where now all of a sudden you're in one of the more powerful roles as a coach on the staff, whereas when you were left, you were a position coach. A lot of these guys that stay around, is that a weird dynamic at all, coming back and almost being like a boss now compared to where you were prior to leaving?
Great question. It was a weird dynamic because of the guys on the staff that I was with.
Yeah.
So when I left our D-line and I came back, our D-line coach was the same, our DB coach was the same. So it was weird for me, just when I left to go to Lafayette, I didn't know anybody over there. So it was what it was. And in today's world, the DC is a boss of the defense and all that bullshit. But there was no attachment there. So when I came back to Delaware and I was the coordinator for guys that I've been with for some of them 10 years, it was a little weird. I guess I'm kind of technically their boss. I didn't like to think of it that way. I don't like to think of it that way now, but it's a little different now that I am kind of in that deal, but with guys that I didn't know for that long. It was definitely weird, frankly.
Especially if some of them saw you in almost the end of your GA days, to now all of a sudden you're their boss. That's got to be a real weird dynamic.
Yeah, there was one guy. It was weird. It was, and not bad, and then it never got bad. And I think some of my managing of people skills comes from my parents, and then from watching Coach Rocco do it for a long time, and just being able to manage situations and not. And I'm not a dick. People will say that I might be, but I'm really not.
I have firsthand accounts that might contradict your statements. Not because you don't mean well. Not because you don't mean well. However,
no, I agree. You're right. There are probably times that I boss as a dick. I won't deny that. But it's great now because the guys on our staff, we all get along. And it's like this though. None of them right now in the moment want to be in my chair calling the shots. And it's great because in certain situations I can be a dick and be an asshole and tell me how you want to do it. Ryan, tell me how you want to call it. What do you want to do right here? Oh no, coach, I'm just saying you could might, and then it's a totally different tone. Okay. I get it, guys. We all want to win, but understand if we do this, it's not going to be a very good outcome. Yeah. So I can be a dick without really being an uncaring dick, I guess. However you want to say it.
I know, listen, man, you mean well. I mean,
do.
Here's the thing I've always appreciated about you from just, staying in touch with you, playing with you. It's like, you're straightforward, right? You're confident in your answer. You know what the best thing to do is. And it's that old saying that, I forget if Clark used to say this or Rock used to say, but like, listen, if we're all wrong, we're right. As long as we're on the same page and we're all executing the same thing, even if it's the wrong deal, we got a chance to be right.
Yeah, I like that. I haven't thought about that in a while, but I like that.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah. Okie Tony, baby. Cover 2. Okie Tony. If we're all wrong, we're right. For guys who used to play with us, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but, we don't run Okie Tony much anymore.
That's that evolution part, right?
Well, we've evolved, Ryan. We call it something different, but it's very similar.
Yeah.
So
I mean, let's transition here, and then we'll wrap up. Along the way, you've made literally $0, right? Mm-hmm. To being one of the highest paid DCs at your level across the country. So, along the way, I'm sure you got some money moves that you made that you're like, man, I'm so glad I did that, and probably some money moves that you probably wish you could go back on. So, talk about that, and then we'll kind of wrap things up here.
Yeah, one of the obviously the worst money moves I made was not having any money, not having any income, and having a credit card and just putting all the money on a credit card, and then taking out a loan, thinking I'd pay the loan off faster with the credit card, and then racking up the credit card debt again, to then take my retirement fund from Richmond and pulling it out and paying taxes on it to pay off my debt before I got married. So, like, you want to talk about a bad financial decision? Who are we kidding? And even you were like, no, I wouldn't do that. And I was like, fuck you, Ryan, I'm doing it anyway.
What do I know?
Yeah, I mean, shit. But those were like some of the worst decisions I made with money. And like today, my wife will tell you, like, with money, I'm not great. Like, I'll get money and like, oh, the kids need, boom, it's gone. I don't really care. Like, when it comes to my kids and if they need it, buy it. I really don't give a shit. I don't spend much money on me anymore as I get older, because like anytime I think about buying something for myself, I go to the store, I pick it up, I look at it, and I'm like, okay, I could buy these shoes for $140, or I could buy a box of diapers, I could buy 2 pairs of tennis shoes. Okay, I'll put them back. So I think from that standpoint, that's a better financial decision that I've made. And honestly, like, the best financial decisions that I've made is hiring you guys, if you want me to be honest with you. Because, Ryan, you know this, like, when we got to Delaware, you reached out to me. It was you and Eddie Pinnigus were my 2 choices, okay? I love Eddie, but I've known you a lot longer. But you have your ability to sit down with me and just, like, kind of explain to me what it is, why I should do it. What are the benefits? What are the risks? That really helped me understand it, because at that point in time, Dee and I had only been married like 6 or 7 months. We had a baby coming. She had a bunch of 401ks and stuff from the job that she's worked. I really didn't. But it was very helpful for us. We started retirement funds. We rolled money over. We started funds for our kids. Like, you guys have been great for us. And honestly, for me, just helping manage our finances. And Ryan, you know this, I told you, I said, I don't have any idea what the hell you're doing, but I trust you. So, like, and that was the thing for me. Like, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it with somebody I know and somebody I trust. I've had people reach out to me. Oh, my cousin's this, and they know that person that does this. And I'm like, piss off, dude. So it has been, like, for me, I don't worry about it. You guys still send me all these fucking notifications and emails and paperworks and, transaction accounts. And I just throw all that shit in the garbage. Yeah. You guys know that, right?
I do know that.
I delete it. I just throw that shit in the garbage because, like, I trust you. So that has been one of the best financial things for me. And then, you taught me the whole money thing, the 50, 30, 20, and we don't do that completely, but every time I think about, like, what I need to spend money on, I always go back to that in my mind and like, okay, is this a necessity? No, it's not. No, we're not getting it. So those have been the two things that have helped me. And you know this, Ryan, everybody that I talk to that is making money that doesn't have a financial advisor, I try to send them to you as much as possible.
No, we know that, man, and appreciate the kind words. Obviously, wasn't fishing for that with the best moves, but it sounded pretty good.
It does sound good.
It sounded pretty good.
Enjoying that people can hear that.
Listen, I haven't hit the lottery. Okay, I haven't made it big, and like some coaches I know are making $90,000 a paycheck. That ain't me. So like, what have I done to this point in my life that has been the best financial move for me? It's been getting together with you. So that's been great for me, and like I said, I have my TIA craft. I check it out, but you handle that shit. I get my yearly statements. It all looks good to me. I don't know if I've gained or lost, but it looks good. You handle that shit.
We got some work to do then, man.
You know what I mean? Like it's calming knowing that in 20 years when I want to retire, I should have something to retire on.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
So,
right.
And if it makes you feel any better, there's nothing we like laughing at more than when we go check all the emails that we spend all this time and it's like open rate 25%. We're like, all of our clients hate us.
No, a few people appreciate it, right? If nothing else, you can say we try, right? At a minimum, you can say we try. So cool, man. So just words of wisdom, right? Getting the next generation of coaches, or if there's a coach on the up that's trying to navigate a career, financial, what's the piece of advice that you would give them?
So I read a book by Darren Donnelly, Think Like a Warrior. And I read this book on our bye week when I was at DC at Lafayette. And my mother bought it for me because my mom knew I was struggling. Like I said, we were 0-4 or 2-4 at the time, something like that. And when I read it, it kind of put me at ease. Like, don't think about what's ahead, where you could go next, what job might be coming, how much money you might be making, what could, just be there in the moment right now and grind your ass off. Do what you need to do in the moment, wherever you're at in life, financially, in your job, with your family. I need to take that advice with my family a little bit more, honestly. I've been home for almost 6 weeks now and the kids are driving me crazy, but it's be where you're at and just grind, because you never know when that next opportunity is going to happen. And if you're always sitting there looking for it, then it's never really going to come. Though those things, like I'm sure you guys have instances too, but those things come at times when you least expect it. And all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, now's the time. And you're never going to be ready for it. So why sit there and wait around? I'll be ready. And then you're not. So it's going to hit you when you least expect it. You're like, oh shit, I'm not ready for that. You got to go figure it out. But that would be what I would say is keep grinding. And when you least expect it, it's going to happen. And then when it happens, you got to figure it out and grind your ass off. Just like if I hit that Mega Millionaire Powerball tonight, I got to figure it out and what I'm going to do with all that money.
I know what you better do. You better give me a call there, bucko.
You're the first call. You got your first call.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, it's been a blast, right? I mean, and it's been so much fun just kind of seeing you go through the paces in your career and spend time with you and D. And I'm excited to get down to a Delaware game this year and see you guys hit the playoffs, top 10 this year, championship run. Just saying.
Yeah, I hear you. Let's keep praying for that. I'd love it too. No, I think we got a chance to be pretty good. I mean, you never know. Everybody says at the beginning of the year, and then by the time August is over, it's like, oh shit, are we going to be any good? And who knows? But yeah, we have some good teams at home this year. Ron, we got New Hampshire at home. We play St. Francis and Duquesne at home. We have Elon's at home.
Is New Hampshire still that same coach that's been there for like 30 years?
No, does New Hampshire have the same coach?
Hasn't that same guy been there forever?
Yeah, no, Coach McDonald, he's not there anymore. It's Ricky Santos, played quarterback for them. He's their head coach now.
Got it.
So they're coming in like, I don't know, top 10.
No, Manny, we lost you. You hear us? Sorry, man, you cut out. You back?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. The internet cut out for a minute on you. We're good. We'll edit that part out. Yeah, man. So really appreciate your time. Right. If anyone wants to check you out, social, any recruits listening, want to get on the best defensive staff in the country, where can they find you online?
It's Coach_Rojas_UD. And that's my Twitter, and that's actually my Instagram now, and that is my Threads now too. I got that cool Threads thing everybody's checking out. I don't get it, guys. This Instagram's way of having a Twitter. You shitting me?
I know. It's too much. It's all.
It is too
There's
much.
too many things.
Too much.
Too many things to do. You on Snap? You on not Snapchat? You on TikTok? You doing any dances these days for the recruits?
No. Well, I'm technically on and not on TikTok. I'm on TikTok for all of my personal cooking and home. I got videos of like my Blackstone guys on their Blackstone cooking things, all these different meals I like to cook, try to cook, and then obviously for the little home fix-it stuff, like that's it. So I don't use that shit as a recruiting tool. I got enough recruiting social media avenues out there. But guys, like, honestly, like that stuff is getting out of hand.
That's why he bought the "Don't Be a Jagoff" shirt. He just sends that whenever he sees one of the players post a video on there.
Hey, I'm on Peloton too, right? Like that's my new Peloton. Don't be a Jagoff. That's my new.
Is it? I love it. Gotta get a ride in soon, pal.
Yeah, you obviously haven't been on there in like 9 months.
I'm hitting the streets, pound the pavement, putting my miles in.
I hear you.
Just checking in on you, Rye.
I know.
Better get your ass back on there.
Manny's always keeping score.
Hey, Fran, I used to invite him to my Saturday morning 5 a.m. classes. He never jumps on.
That's true. That's
Sleeping in
accurate.
a little bit. Sleeping in a little bit, huh?
Sleeping on him. Oh well. Well, listen, man, it's been fun. Really appreciate you, and looking forward for you having a great year. Thanks for your time, buddy.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.